You've arrived at the right moment. This video should no longer be available. What I'm about to reveal is something many have tried to silence. Something Saint Maximilian Kolbe, prisoner number 16670, whispered within the freezing walls of Auschwitz before he died. A secret, a prophecy, a warning that's unfolding before our very eyes. And very few people have noticed the last words of a saint are never spoken by chance. And Kolbe's final words in that starvation bunker were not merely a prayer. They were an alert for our time. This warning was kept hidden for decades, transmitted in silence from Franciscan to Franciscan, from devotee to devotee, until it reaches you today. Take a deep breath. What you're about to hear will completely change your understanding of the times we live in. When Kolbe offered himself to die in place of Franciszek Gajowniczek, a family man condemned to death, it wasn't just an act of sacrifice. It was also a prophetic sign, a symbol of what would befall the world decades later. The Nazi guards took him to Block 11, the starvation bunker, a place where men were left without water, without food, until their bodies gave way. A slow, painful, inhuman process. But something extraordinary happened in that bunker. While others screamed in agony, Kolbe led prayers. While others despaired, he remained calm. And in moments of silence, when they thought he was merely meditating, Kolbe whispered. He whispered things the other prisoners didn't fully understand. Broken words, phrases about the future, about our time. Did you know that during the 14 days he spent without food or water, Kolbe remained lucid until the end? The Nazis expected to find only corpses when they opened that cell, but they found Kolbe conscious, serene, as if nourished by something beyond. And they were right. He was. The question few have asked is, why? Why did Kolbe remain conscious for so long? Why did he need to stay lucid until the very last moment? The answer is chilling, because he had a message to deliver. A message that needed to cross decades, to reach us, to reach you, watching me now. During those 14 days, Kolbe had visions, not hallucinations caused by starvation, clear, prophetic visions of what would happen to humanity, of the signs that would precede difficult times. He saw a world where faith would be systematically attacked, not with physical weapons, like in occupied Poland, but with something more subtle, more dangerous, the silent disintegration of Christian values, the corrosion of the family unit, the emptying of the sacred. One of the surviving prisoners, Joseph Stemler, recounted something astonishing. On the quietest nights, he could hear Kolbe repeating, "A time will come when they will try to make you forget, when the enemy will no longer wear uniforms to be recognized, when they will attack what is most sacred without firing a single bullet." And then he whispered 3 signs. 3 signs that would indicate the moment his prophecy was about to be fulfilled. These 3 signs were guarded with zeal, transmitted only orally from person to person, for fear that they would be distorted if written down. A tradition, kept alive by Franciscans faithful to Kolbe's memory. And now, I say with fear and trembling, the 3 signs are here. The 3 signs have been fulfilled. Kolbe's warning is no longer just a prophecy. It's our reality. The first sign Kolbe described was when you see the family unit redefined, attacked in its most basic essence. When the confusion about what constitutes a man and a woman spreads like a dense fog. This will be the first sign. Look around you. See what's happening to the family unit. How traditional roles are ridiculed. How male-female complementarity is questioned. How basic human identity is under attack. Exactly as Kolbe whispered, the second sign, when technology allows man to create artificial life, manipulate creation, and put himself in God's place. When science without conscience advances without brakes, this will be the second sign. artificial intelligence, genetic manipulation, designer babies, transhumanism. The quest to transcend the limits of creation without any reference to the Creator. We are living this now. Kolbe's second sign has unfolded before our eyes. And the third sign, the most alarming, when you see those who should defend the truth begin to bend. When shepherds confuse the sheep instead of guiding them. When error is called mercy and truth is called rigidity. This will be the third and most dangerous sign. This is the sign that makes me shudder the most. The sign that indicates we are truly in the time Kolbe foresaw. The confusion within the church itself, the contradictory voices, the relativism that infiltrates where crystalline clarity should exist. All three signs are present. All three signs have been fulfilled. And what comes next? What did Kolbe foresee would happen when these three signs were all manifest? Here is the part that almost no one knows, the part that was guarded even more carefully. Kolbe's final prophecy. He said, when the three signs are present, it will be the moment. The moment when every Catholic will have to make a definitive choice. There will be no more middle ground. There will be no more comfortable, convenient Catholicism. Each one will have to decide to be totally with Christ or totally without Him. Kolbe called this the great polarization, a time when neutrality would be impossible. A time of painful but necessary clarity. He said, when this happens, many will turn away. The narrow path will become even narrower, and those who remain faithful will seem like fools in the eyes of the world. And here is the light. At the end of this prophetic tunnel, Kolbe also promised something extraordinary for those who remain faithful during this time. He whispered as his body wasted away in the bunker. For those who stand firm when all is confused. For those who maintain faith when everything invites surrender. For these, a special protection from the Immaculate One will come. A wave of graces like never before seen. Kolbe stated that this would be the time of the greatest apostasy and simultaneously of the greatest saints. Saints will arise from the most unlikely places, he said. Ordinary people who will become extraordinary through their simple fidelity. Families that will be beacons of light in the midst of the storm. And the question that begs to be answered, if we are living in the time Kolbe prophesied, how should we act? What must we do to be among those who remain faithful, among those who receive the special protection of the Immaculate One? Kolbe left a method, a practical, concrete, powerful method. A method he taught to the few prisoners who survived. A method passed down through decades in secret. He called it the Immaculate Protocol for the End Times. It's not complex. In fact, it's so simple that many would dismiss it as insufficient for such difficult times. But it is precisely in its simplicity that its strength lies. Kolbe understood something profound. In times of extreme confusion, it's necessary to return to the essential, to the basics, to the unshakable core of faith. This protocol has three parts, three daily practices that, according to Kolbe, would create an impenetrable shield against the confusion of these times. The first part of the protocol, daily consecration. Not a complex consecration, something that can be done in less than a minute. Upon waking, even before getting out of bed, place your hand on your heart and say, Immaculate Mary, I totally consecrate myself to you today. My thoughts, my words, my actions, guide me in truth. Kolbe said that this simple act creates a field of protection around the person, like a spiritual filter that prevents external confusion from penetrating the heart. The second part, informational fasting. Kolbe, who was a journalist and communicator, already foresaw how information would be used as a weapon in the end times. How difficult it would be to discern the truth amidst the constant bombardment. Therefore, he prescribed a rigorous fast from all information that was not essential, drastically reducing the consumption of news, social media, entertainment that confuses values, and replacing this time with solid, classic, time-tested spiritual reading. In the last days, he said, the mind that is not protected will be easily captured. And the third part of the protocol, the most powerful, what he called the practice of dwelling silence. Kolbe said that in the last days, noise would be a strategy of the enemy. Not just physical noise, but internal. Noise, constant agitation, accelerated thinking. Anxiety as a normal state. Against this, he prescribed 33 minutes a day of absolute silence. Not necessarily formal prayer, but simple conscious silence. Sitting without distractions, just letting the mind calm down and allowing the Holy Spirit to speak. In the last days, Kolbe whispered in the starvation bunker, only in silence will one be able to discern the voice of God, and those who cannot silence themselves will be carried away by the storm. This three-part protocol seems too simple for our complex times, but its effectiveness, according to those who practice it, is extraordinary. Teresa, a mother in São Paulo, began practicing Kolbe's protocol when she felt her family was being destroyed by the values of the world. Her teenage children were increasingly distant from the faith, absorbed by ideologies contrary to everything she had taught them. She started the protocol without telling anyone. Daily consecration, rigorous informational fasting, 33 minutes of silence, which she did before everyone woke up. In 3 weeks, she noticed changes. First in herself, an inexplicable peace, even amidst difficulties. Then, gradually, in the family, deeper conversations began to arise naturally, more sincere questions, an openness that didn't exist before. In 2 months, her eldest son, who had completely abandoned the faith, asked to speak to a priest. Not because of pressure from her, who hadn't even suggested it, but because of an internal, inexplicable movement. Or John, a university professor who was tormented by the pressure to adhere to ideologies contrary to his faith. He felt isolated, pressured, afraid of losing his job if he expressed his convictions. He began Kolbe's protocol, the daily consecration, the informational fast, the 33 minutes of silence, which he did during his lunch break in a chapel near the university. In a few weeks, he noticed a mental clarity he hadn't had before, an ability to discern when to speak and when to be silent, a wisdom to find ways of dialogue without compromising the truth. His colleagues began to seek him out, even those who disagreed with his views. "There's something different about you," they said. "A solidity, a peace that we don't see in others." And the most impressive story, Father Carlos from a parish in Portugal who was on the verge of abandoning the priesthood. The confusion within the church itself had left him discouraged, directionless, questioning his vocation. An old Franciscan told him about Kolbe's protocol. He decided to try it as a last resort. The morning consecration, the rigorous fasting from all confusing information, focusing only on classic texts of the Catholic tradition, and the 33 daily minutes of silence, which he did in the empty. Church after morning mass, in a month something transformed, not his external circumstances, which remained difficult, but his perspective on them, his ability to remain faithful amidst the storm, his joy in the priesthood, which returned even deeper than before. Today, his parish is a beacon of clarity and fidelity, a safe harbor for so many Catholics confused by the signs of the times. Kolbe's protocol works because it combats exactly what makes these times so dangerous: dispersion, confusion, internal and external noise. It's like a specific antidote to the poison of our time. Kolbe knew, he saw. In the starvation bunker, when everything had been taken from him, food, water, freedom, and soon life itself, he saw beyond. He saw our time. He saw our struggles. And he left this protocol as a lifeline. As he himself said, "In times of greatest darkness, the Immaculate prepared her most powerful instruments. The three signs he prophesied are here: the confusion about family and human identity, technology that tries to replace God, the disorientation within the church itself, exactly as he whispered in the walls of Auschwitz. But the protocol is also here: the daily consecration, the informational fast, the 33 minutes of dwelling silence. And now you need to choose. To be part of those who are carried away by the confusion of the times, or of those who remain firm, protected by the Immaculate, as Kolbe prophesied. The choice is yours. But remember the words he whispered, even when injected with phenol by the Nazis in his last moments of life: where there is the Immaculate, evil cannot remain. Start the protocol today, right now. The daily consecration, the informational fast, the 33 minutes of silence, and then share this video. Not for me, but because there are people who need to hear this warning. People Kolbe saw in his visions in the starvation bunker. People who are lost, confused, not knowing how to navigate these difficult times. Share it as an act of love. This is a mission Maximilian Kolbe entrusted to all of us who know his prophecy. And if you're going to start the protocol today, leave the initials PK, Kolbe Protocol, in the comments. This will signal that you're answering the call, that you'll be among those who remain faithful when everything invites desertion. Subscribe to the channel now to receive more revelations like this. Hit the notification bell to be alerted whenever we post new content about the guarded secrets of the saints, the prophecies that are being fulfilled, and the concrete methods to remain faithful in these times. As Kolbe said, our mission is to conquer the entire world for the Immaculate One. And it starts with you today, responding to this call that has crossed decades to reach you. Time is short, the signs are clear, but the protection promised by Kolbe is also real. Choose now. Choose wisely. The Kolbe Protocol isn't just a spiritual practice. It's a survival system for the soul in times of spiritual warfare. It's an inner fortress when the outside world crumbles. And there's something more that few know, something that makes this protocol even more powerful, but demands an even greater commitment. Kolbe taught that the protocol should be practiced for 33 consecutive days without missing a single day. 33 days, the number of years Christ lived on earth. And if you manage to complete these 33 days without interruption, something extraordinary will happen. A profound inner transformation, a spiritual clarity that few experience in this life. What Kolbe called the vision of the Immaculate One. Not a physical vision, but a way of seeing reality through Mary's eyes. To instantly discern truth from lies, good from evil disguised as good. In today's language, we could call this a spiritual firewall, automatic protection against the distortions of the end times. And more, Kolbe said that those who completed the 33 days would receive a specific mission, a unique, personalized mission, perfectly suited to their gifts and circumstances. The Immaculate One needs diverse instruments for these times, he said. Some are called to speak, others to write, others to educate, others simply to be a silent presence of faithfulness, but each will have their mission clear. This mission wouldn't come like a bolt from the blue, but as a growing inner certainty, a conviction that would form in silence, becoming clearer and clearer throughout the 33 days. An important detail: Kolbe advised starting the 33-day protocol on a significant Marian date, the first day of May, or December 8th, the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, or August 15th, the Assumption of Our Lady, or even the 13th of any month, in honor of the apparitions of Fatima. But if you feel urgency, he said that any day is better than waiting. In the last days, he warned, spiritual procrastination will be one of the enemy's most effective weapons. There's an aspect of the protocol I haven't mentioned yet. A fourth element that Kolbe revealed only to those who completed the first 21 days. An element he considered the seal of the entire process. He called it preventive detachment. Kolbe perceived something profound. In the last days, many Christians would be neutralized, not by direct attacks on their faith, but by indirect attachments that would keep them captive. Attachments to comfort, to social approval, to financial security, to peace at any cost. Preventive detachment consisted of identifying what your greatest point of vulnerability would be, what attachment could cause you to compromise your faith, and voluntarily practicing detachment from it before the trial came. It's better to let go by choice than to have your fingers ripped off by the force of circumstances, he said. For some, this meant drastically simplifying their lifestyle, even without financial need. For others, it meant taking public stances that could cost them social approval. For still others, it meant giving up some security to follow their conscience more faithfully. Anna, a successful executive in Rio de Janeiro, discovered that her attachment was to professional status. After 21 days of the protocol, she understood that she needed to practice preventive detachment from this attachment, not abandoning her career, but refusing to compromise Christian values to advance. In practice, this meant refusing a lucrative but ethically questionable project. It meant speaking openly about her faith when it would have been more convenient to hide it. It meant setting clear boundaries to preserve her family and spiritual life. Were there consequences? Yes, some opportunities closed, some professional relationships cooled, but something unexpected also happened. New doors opened. People who shared her values sought her out. A new professional path emerged, one that didn't force her to choose between success and faithfulness. Preventive detachment doesn't necessarily mean losing something, Kolbe explained. It means freeing yourself from the fear of losing, and when that fear is gone, true Christian freedom appears. Now, I need to make a serious warning. The Kolbe Protocol isn't for everyone, not because it's exclusive or elitist, but because it requires a level of seriousness and commitment that not everyone is willing to assume. Kolbe warned, it's better not to start than to start and abandon, because abandoning the protocol leaves a person more vulnerable than they were before. This is because the protocol attracts spiritual attention. It challenges the invisible status quo. It disturbs the forces that prefer Christians who are asleep, comfortable, spiritually mediocre. Therefore, if you decide to begin, be prepared for resistance. External resistance. Perhaps people questioning your new intensity. Perhaps circumstances that seem to conspire to interrupt especially your 33 minutes of silence. And internal resistance as well. Thoughts that this is excessive. Feelings of boredom or distraction during silence. Sudden temptations to break the informational fast just this once. Kolbe called this the test of 3 days. The first 3 days of the protocol would be the most difficult, with intense temptations to give up. And then, again around day 21, another wave of resistance would come. If you pass these 2 portals, he said, you will arrive at the end transformed. Now, let me tell you something I recently discovered that deeply impacted me. In 2018, a group of Polish researchers gained access to some of Kolbe's personal documents that had been kept by his Franciscan brothers for decades. Among these documents was a fragmented diary that Kolbe kept in the early days of his imprisonment at Auschwitz before being sent to the starvation bunker. In this diary, there's an entry dated June 14th, 1941, about 2 months before his death. Maximiliano Kolbe writes something extraordinary. I had a dream so vivid it didn't seem like a dream. I saw a future world where the cross was hidden, but not removed, where the faithful seemed few, but were stronger than ever before. I saw young people searching for truth amidst an ocean of lies. I saw families like islands of light in the midst of darkness. I saw priests who rediscovered the original fire. And then, the most impressive part, I saw that those who remain faithful will be few in number, but immense in impact. A single faithful Catholic in these future times will have the spiritual power to convert multitudes, as in the early days of the Church. The key will be total detachment from the spirit of the world and total union with the Immaculate One. This excerpt from Kolbe's diary confirms exactly what survivors reported hearing from him in the starvation bunker. It confirms that he truly saw our time, that he truly left a method for us. I've often wondered, why now? Why is this prophecy and this protocol coming to light precisely now, when the three signs he mentioned are all present? The answer, I believe, lies in another phrase attributed to Kolbe. The Immaculate One reveals her secrets at the exact moment they are needed, neither before nor after. This is the moment. This is the time for which the protocol was created. This is the time Kolbe saw from the depths of Auschwitz, and you are not watching this video by accident. You have been guided here because you are part of those Kolbe saw in his vision, part of those who will choose to remain faithful when everything invites desertion. Do you remember what happened to the man for whom Kolbe gave his life? Franciszek Gajowniczek survived Auschwitz. He lived until 1995. He spent the rest of his life testifying about Kolbe's sacrifice. In a way, he lived for two. His life had a double purpose, his own and that of honoring the sacrifice that was made for him. Spiritually, we are in the same position. Kolbe and so many other martyrs gave their lives so that faith would reach us intact, so that in these difficult times we would have what we need to remain faithful. Now it is up to us to live worthily of this sacrifice, to live not only for ourselves, but also for them. To continue what they started, Kolbe's protocol is our way of honoring his martyrdom, of making his sacrifice continue to bear fruit. Let's review the practical elements so you can start today. The daily consecration. As soon as you wake up, before any other activity, place your hand on your heart and say, "Mary Immaculate, I consecrate myself totally to you today. My thoughts, my words, my actions. Guide me in truth." It's less than 15 seconds, but it sets the spiritual tone for the entire day. The informational fast. Drastically eliminate the consumption of information that confuses, disturbs, distracts, non-essential news, anxiety-generating, social media, entertainment that obscures values. Replace it with solid, classic, time-tested spiritual reading. Start with 15 minutes a day of this nourishing reading. 3. The 33 minutes of inhabited silence. Set aside this sacred time. It's not meditation in the Eastern sense. It's not even structured prayer. It's simply being in silence, conscious, available, sitting without distractions, letting the mind calm down naturally, allowing the Holy Spirit to speak in the silence. 4. And after 21 days, preventative detachment. Identify which attachment could cause you to compromise your faith in difficult times. Comfort, social approval, financial security, peace at any cost, and begin voluntarily to practice detachment from this, not in a reckless or destructive way, but as an exercise in inner freedom. Practice for 33 consecutive days. Do not fail a single day. If you fail, start the count from 0 again. And at the end of the 33 days, be attentive to the mission that will arise, not like a bolt from the sky, but like a growing inner conviction, a clarity about your specific role in these times. As Kolbe said, No one is irreplaceable in God's plans, but each one has a unique role that no one else can play in exactly the same way. You have your role. You have your mission. The protocol will help to make it clear. And now, before concluding, I must share a final aspect of Kolbe's prophecy. An aspect that he mentioned only to his closest friend in the bunker, and which was passed down in secret for decades. Kolbe predicted that a time would come, after the 3 signs we mentioned, in which what he called the Great Awakening would occur, a moment when many who were spiritually asleep would suddenly wake up, a moment when those who had faithfully followed the protocol would be called to guide others who were awakening, confused, frightened, needing guidance. It will be like a new Pentecost, he whispered. Not for everyone, but for those who are prepared. Those who remain faithful will see the power of God manifest in ways they haven't seen since apostolic times. This great awakening, according to Kolbe, would be preceded by disturbing world events that would shake false securities, that would show the fragility of a world built without God. When this happens, he said, those who have practiced the protocol will be ready. They will have clarity when others are confused. They will have peace when others are in panic. They will have the answers when others only have questions. Is this the moment we are living in? The signs indicate that it is. The 3 signs that Kolbe prophesied are all present, and disturbing world events seem to be multiplying around, as the Great Awakening may be near, and those who follow Kolbe's protocol will be ready. Will you be among them? The choice is yours. But remember, this may be the most important choice you will make in your spiritual life. As Kolbe said in his last moments in the starvation bunker, what we do in time has consequences in eternity. Your time is now, your choice is today. If you are going to start the protocol, leave the initials PK, Kolbe Protocol, in the comments. Join those who are answering this call that has crossed decades to reach you. Share this video with those you feel need to hear this message. Not for fame or numbers, but out of love for souls who may be lost, confused, needing exactly this. Your beacon, and subscribe to the channel now. Activate the bell to be notified whenever we post more content like this. Revelations that have been kept for generations. Spiritual secrets that are now coming to light because they are needed. As St. Maximilian Kolbe said, love is the only creative force. May your love for God, for the Immaculate One, and for the souls around you be your strength to begin the protocol. Today, time is short, the signs are clear, but the promised protection is real. Prisoner 16672 saw our time from the depths of Auschwitz. He left us a map, a method, a path. Now it's up to us to follow it. Are you ready? Maximiliano Kolbe, number 1666670, in the chilling confines of Auschwitz's Block 11. His sacrifice, a testament to unwavering faith, a prophecy whispered in the face of unspeakable horror, a message echoing across generations, a message for us. He witnessed the darkness, the systematic dehumanization, the cruelty beyond comprehension. Yet in that abyss, he saw something more, something terrifying, a future shadowed by the 3 signs he predicted, a time of great spiritual crisis. The first sign, a profound spiritual decay, a comfortable Catholicism, a tepid faith, a disregard for the tenets of our belief, a turning away from the truth, a dimming of the light. He saw a church losing its way, its shepherds straying from the flock, leaving the sheep vulnerable to the wolves. The second, a fracturing of the family unit, the sacred bond between husband and wife, parent and child, a blurring of gender roles, a redefinition of the very fabric of society, an attack on the foundational unit of humanity, the attack on what is sacred And the third, a triumph of science devoid of conscience, science without conscience, a relentless pursuit of knowledge untethered from morality, a technology wielded without restraint, a power unleashed without regard for its consequences. These weren't mere predictions. These were warnings, whispered from the heart of darkness, from a man who faced death with astonishing courage, his act of selfless sacrifice, his willingness to die in place of another, Franciszek Gajowniczek, a man he'd never met before. This act of love, this profound act of faith, this was the heart of Maximiliano Kolbe's message, the light at the end of the tunnel. It was a beacon of hope, a symbol of the strength that love possesses, even in the face of absolute evil. He saw these shadows closing in. He saw the great polarization, the division, the discord. But he also saw something else. He saw the time of the greatest saints, a time when faith would be tested, refined, and ultimately victorious. His final words, from the starvation bunker on August 14th, 1941, a testament to his unwavering faith in the Immaculate One. They were more than a prayer. They were a call to action, a desperate plea to heed his warning before it's too late. The prophecy of Maximiliano Kolbe. It's not just a historical event. It's a living prophecy. It's a challenge, a test of our faith, a call to arms. Are you prepared to answer that call? Are you ready for the challenges ahead? Are you ready to fight for the truth, for the sacred, for love? The time is now. The choice is yours.